has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. Hour 2 of Coast to Coast on a Pain-Free Friday. I'm hearing that Jaden Daniels' mother, who is also his agent, is saying to him, since day one of his career, quote, no trim for you, end quote. No hotties, no women, no ladies, no dating. No one will steal her son and ruin his career by trying to hook him.
Yeah, this is quite the story. Jane Daniels' mom says he is single currently, and that is not changing. Says he won't get, quote, hooked as long as she's around. So now he's still, he's still in his, mid-20s. So he's still got a lot of life to live. But if anybody's looking to, as she said, get hooked, with Jaden Daniels, that's not happening. Now we've had a lot of, we get some strange stories sometimes. Usually it's Super Bowl week, right. Or the Super Bowl off week is when you get some of the stranger stuff. I don't recall us ever having one like that before the championship games. That you're not going to get hooked on the star quarterback, according to his mom. Not going to get that. So there you go for Jaden. I got some prop stuff for you in this game too. Barkley's rushing total, the highest rushing yard prop that's been posted on the board in 3 years, 124.5 for Barkley in this game on Sunday. I think there's a lot of things that factor into that, obviously, including Hurts' health. Over or under, Scotty, 124.5 for Barkley.
I mean, I guess it's got to be over based on the fact that Hurts is banged up. And second, he not the greatest passer you ever saw in your life. So they win with Barkley in defense. So I think they're going to feed Barkley all day Sunday. I think he's going to carry the ball 25 times at least. I mean, seriously, I think he's getting a boatload of carries. He went for 200 last week. He's going to, $124 to him is halftime. I mean, this guy's a freak. So I'm not betting against him.
I wouldn't want to bet against him either. That's for sure. One thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to bet his anytime touchdown because it's like minus 250, minus 225, minus 230 in that area. So I'm sure Barkley is going to score. But we always like to go a little bit wider range here for our tutty picks. Let's do the NFC game since we're on it right now. I'm going to go a little deep for the first tutty on Sunday. How about Brian Robinson? Maybe the Commanders get close and they bang one in. Good inside the 5. 12-1. I love the price. We'll play him anytime as well, around plus 190. So Brian Robinson Jr. for me. A.J. Brown plus 135. Maybe Hurts can't move around much, but I think he'll be able to throw a little bit on the watch today. We'll go there. Zach Ertz back in Philly again. Plus 290 for Ertz to score in the game. And Dallas Goedert has made his presence felt. I know he said it today he's going to play. He's had some ankle problems, but plus 320. I always love some good tight ends in these games, Scotty. So Ertz and Goddard both make the list for me.
I still got to go with Daniels anytime, and I got to go with McLaren anytime because, he's just a target, and he never, doesn't come through. I mean, this guy, McLaren, is a stud, and I think Daniels will score on his own just because he's a badass. I think he'll score twice.
He is a badass. He is a badass. I would not be surprised if you saw him score either. NFC Championship game on Sunday. Of course, the second game will be one more time around the Bills and the Chiefs in Arrowhead with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. We know that the Chiefs are looking for a three-peat, looking to get themselves back there. The Bills trying to get there for the first time here in the Allen era. Here is Josh Allen, of course, 0-3 in the playoffs against Mahomes. Wants to wash away all of that past and get himself finally into the Super Bowl.
You always remember the feeling of not pulling through. that sticks with you for a while, and it really doesn't leave. But again, I think every year that you go through in this league, you learn more things about yourself, about your team, about the game of football. We're just grateful and humbled to have another opportunity at it. It's another week that we get to play because really there's only 4 teams playing right now. So we look at that and, we just love the opportunity that we have.
Listen, I'll agree with him about one thing there is that, I've said this a million times. You never forget the losses. I mean, they're just, they drive you nuts. I've lost a lot of championship basketball games, and it's the worst. You never forget it ever. It's just awful. So he's telling it like it is when he says, yeah, it sticks with you, because it does. I don't think it ever washes. I really don't. And, I mean, this guy needs to break through that window like nobody's business because, I mean, if this guy, now it'll be 4. What is he, 0-3 against him? This will be 0-4 if he fails again. And then people are just going to start saying he sucks. He can't get it done. He just can't beat him. So it's going to haunt him like no other. The 13 seconds he's probably still having nightmares and cold sweats over. If he loses this one, he's going to need a shrink.
He probably will. That's for sure. On the other side, Patrick Mahomes, he's used to beating Allen in the playoffs. Of course, he loses to him all the other time, but in the playoffs is all that matters. Facing Allen again in the big spot.
I think you just have to know you're going to have to play your best football. I've played against Josh enough times to know that he's going to come out there and play great football, especially in those big moments. And so for me, I have to play my best football whenever I get the opportunity to and try to put our team in the best position to succeed. And if that's limiting turnover, if that's changing the field position, whatever that is, you have to find a way that day to win. And when you go up against a great quarterback, it takes your best as well.
I got to tell you, the one thing that drives me nuts watching this football team is how this guy takes over the middle of the field. I mean, this guy, he throws the ball over the middle. Every time he does it, they gain 30 yards. I mean, it's just the most unbelievable thing you've ever seen in your life. Most people throw over the middle, they get the ball picked off in the NFL. You throw over the middle, you're asking for trouble. This guy is the exact opposite. He doesn't throw those routes on the edges. He's throwing them right over the middle. I mean, this guy Kelsey last week, Christ, I mean, you would have thought that the other team wasn't even there, that they were invisible, because they were. They never stopped him once. And Kelsey didn't do anything the entire season. Now all of a sudden he shows up for a divisional game, and he's going off the rocks. I mean, this guy, Mahomes, over the middle. If the Bills don't shut that off, they're going to lose. They cannot let this guy throw 20 and 30-yard strikes over the middle all day long at Arrowhead. I am telling you, it'll be the kiss of death.
It will be the kiss of death. Mahomes will play in his 7th straight conference title game. Brady has the record. He played in 8 straight conference title games. I hope he doesn't get to tie the record next year. I hope he doesn't get to go to the Super Bowl this year. So that's what I'm hoping for with Patrick Mahomes this coming week. Later on, after you talk to Doc, I'll give you a couple of other things on the game. We'll have touchdowns for it later as well. So a lot more to do as we get ready for Championship Sunday here on Coast to Coast.
Fans are clamoring for Dr. Zhivago, and he'll break down both games and any key injuries going into Sunday.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
they have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Hopefully we'll track down Dr. Chow. In the interim, we'll continue talking about these games. What about D-Hop getting involved?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of guys on this Kansas City Chief team who have won Super Bowl, multiple Super Bowls. A lot of guys on the team are looking for 3-0. DeAndre Hopkins is not one of those guys, Scotty. Of course, traded to the Chiefs here in season. He has never played in a Super Bowl. He's, he certainly went to the right team to try to break that string. He wants to get past this Sunday so that he could finally experience what it's like.
Childhood dream. I played Madden growing up, always, tried to get to that Super Bowl game. So as a kid, that's a lifelong goal. And, I don't like looking ahead. So, got to go out and practice today and, be perfect. It's the preparation that I enjoy about it, more so than anything.
Well, there you go. He obviously wants to play in a Super Bowl. Who doesn't?
Right. And that's also, you talk about a lot of these guys, diminished roles, etc. Hopkins caught nothing last week against the Texans. In fact, he spent a lot of the game on the sidelines. But you know how dangerous he is. All it takes is one to find him down the field. Same thing with Cooper on the Bills. He's quiet too. But all it takes is one, and suddenly those guys are in the game. So those are two guys to watch out for this coming week. We gave you Mahomes versus Allen this season in the regular season yesterday. Here is their head-to-head stats in the playoffs only, the 3 games that they have played previously. Now, there's only one stat here that is out of whack, and that's the wins. The only one that matters. Mahomes 3, Allen 0. Look at the rest of this. Almost the same amount of total yards in the 3 games, the same amount of touchdowns. Allen with 1 pick, Mahomes with none in the 3 games that they've played in the playoffs before this. So Allen needs to turn that bagel into a 1 on Sunday by about 10 o'clock East.
The numbers are identical, except Mahomes owns him in the postseason. I mean, it's unbelievable. This guy, Allen, beats him in regular season games and can't beat him when it matters. It really is disturbing at some level. I mean, Mahomes has to be laughing. Like, I own this guy. He owns everybody, but he really owns this guy. And it's got to be in his head too. Like, you just can't beat him when it matters. Like, it's a real issue.
Yeah, look, and I know that at the end of the day, everybody's going to make it about Allen versus Mahomes. That's what it is, because they're the guys who are under the most spotlight, and Allen's going to take the hits if they don't win and they lose for a fourth time to this team. Those numbers tell you right there. Allen's played well in these games. He has played well in these games against the Chiefs. And you could say well enough to win, but the bottom line is until he finally gets one, people are still going to say, like you just did, that he can't get it done. So we're going to have to see him actually finally beat them. Still 1.5 as it's been all week. Total did go up a point today. It's been 47.5 all week. Now 48.5 as we get ourselves a little bit closer to Sunday. You know where I am. This is the year, baby. It's got to finally end. It's been too long. Let's go. Buffalo back to the Super Bowl. I think they're going to get it done, Scotty. I really do. Kind of similar scores to what these games always are. Mid to high 20s. And I think the Bills find a way. I kind of like what Gabe said to you earlier. Maybe it's going to be like last week. You got to get yourself a little bit of a lead. Make sure you have yourself some comfortable area in the second half. I don't know if it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be back and forth. And this time they're going to be the ones who finally get that last play and end this thing.
Well, I think it's always hairy when these two play in the postseason. And I think it's going to be identical to that. It'll be close. It'll be hairy. It'll be stressful. It'll be chaotic. I think it'll come down to the fourth quarter. I do think they'll be scoring. They're both too good to not score. They both move the ball. Both quarterbacks produce. Both quarterbacks go off. They both run. I mean, let's face facts. This guy, Mahomes, takes off running now left and right. And he has the luxury of getting all the calls in the games. And then the other guy, Allen, runs and gets abused and never gets calls. So that's what I see when I'm watching. All right. So I think they're going to be points. And I'm not changing my tune either. I am doing it in spite of the fact that Mahomes owns Allen, in spite of the fact that the Chiefs own the Bills in the postseason. In spite of all that, I'm dumb enough to think that Buffalo's going to win this game because of Allen. And I think he's finally got to beat him to get rid of these ghosts and these demons. And it's got to happen Sunday. I honestly believe if he doesn't beat him Sunday, he'll never beat him ever. Not when it matters. I mean, you go 0-4 against a guy in the playoffs. He'll never live it down. He's not going to live it down. It's going to be, on his tombstone. He never beat Mahomes when it mattered. That's what it'll be on his tombstone. He's got to win this game. I'm betting on Buffalo, and I also bet on him because I hate the Chiefs. I'll never bet on them. I don't even care if I lose the money. I'm not betting on that team. I hate them too much. I will never watch a Chiefs game and root for them ever in my life. So it'll never happen. And it doesn't matter that I have Len Dawson's autograph. It doesn't matter that my aunt lives in Kansas City in downtown. It doesn't matter that I was born at St. Luke's Hospital in Kansas City, Missouri. Screw all of them. I hate them dead. I'm on the Bills. There you go.
Right. And look, and I think that's why you see a lot of people are on the Bills this week because they don't want to see the other guys win again. Outside of everybody who's a Chief fan and everyone in the Kansas City, Missouri area, and everybody, nobody wants to see them win again. It's just kind of gotten to that point. So don't get scared off by everybody's on the Bills. Well, a lot of people are on the Bills because they're sick of the other guy. That's why they're on the Bills this week. They want to see everyone's back in the Bills to slay the dragon. Get it done with.
Get rid of whoever's on top. Hopefully, get sick of them.
Put yourself on top. Get rid of them and take over the top. And that's what they need to do on Sunday.
second full year under new ownership to really be where they are right now for this Commanders franchise is one of the best stories of this NFL season.
Went to the playoffs and won 2 road games. Now we're going to use that. Hey, rookie quarterback one? No more rookie quarterback. He's already arrived in the NFL as a legitimate quarterback. And can you say, Ben, is he already top 5?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
He did nothing for 5 weeks. So he's becoming his brother. So I don't want to hear about how great T.J. Watt is with his 0 playoff wins. And he's the first guy to admit it. He comes right out and says, I've never won a playoff game. I don't matter. All right, at least we all know who the best player on the team is. It's George Pickens. If you don't believe that, well, then screw you, too.
Ferrall, coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
We'll see if they get McCain back. Kelly Oubre, Yabusele's been good. Caleb Martin's a defensive specialist. Andre Drummond can still give you, almost a double-double at any point. I can't go south on this team. And now you're giving it to me at 2-1 to make the playoffs? To be in the Final 8? Folks, give me the Philadelphia 76ers to make the playoffs at plus 210.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP of the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
So we won't be able to get Dr. Zhivago today due to technical difficulties, and it's unfortunate, but these things happen. So we move on. And this next story is one that's very appealing to me, Carver High, because it sounds like there's potential for some violence.
There is. We know how all the Bills Mafia fans like to do it up in the parking lot before the games, after the games, celebrating. They throw each other through the tables. They get all rowdy. 2 members of the last Bills Super Bowl teams, the 4 in a row Bills Super Bowl teams in the early 90s, Thurman Thomas and Jim Kelly, they will jump through some tables if the Bills win the Super Bowl, Scotty. So you got that to look forward to, hopefully. We all do. Thurman, the Thurminator, and the great Jim Kelly. My favorite player of all time in my childhood, Jim Kelly.
I have a Jim Kelly jersey, as you know. He was a legend.
Yes.
Long before he played for the Bills for me at Miami for the Canes.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, I loved him as a pro in Buffalo. I have told you before, as a Steeler fan, there's no one I respected more than those Marv Levy Bills teams that dominated the AFC in those 4 years. They were the best thing in the NFL. All 4 years, they were the best team in the NFL. They didn't win the Super Bowl. They had just a black cloud diner over their head. It was unbelievable that they didn't win because they were the best team in the league. They scored more than anybody. They destroyed everybody week to week. They were so fun to watch. And Jim Kelly, the Hall of Famer, badass, what a legend, what a cannon of an arm. And then what he went through with cancer, the guy should be dead. I thought he was dead like 3 or 4 times. Now he's going to jump naked through tables in the parking lot. I have seen it all.
I have seen it all as well. I hope that it happens because that means some really good things happen over the next few weeks. Here's my tutties for the late Sunday game. A couple guys that I like here. First, I think Cook's going to have a huge game. I know that Allen will probably get in as well, but I like Cook for first touchdown, set the tone at plus 850, playing for the anytime as well. I got to put a couple Chiefs in there because they are both going to score, let's be honest. Kareem Hunt, plus 160. He's gotten more of the burn than Pacheco the last couple weeks to end the regular season and even last week against Houston. So I'm going to go with Hunt. Xavier Worthy at plus 200 had a pretty good game against the Bills when they played in November. Rookie, he's gotten better as the year's gone on. And Dalton Kincaid, Chiefs have some problems with the tight end. Kincaid plus 320 to score on the Buffalo side as well.
Yeah, I think Allen's going to score twice.
Allen,
Another one is Kelsey, because all of a sudden this guy's coming back from the dead and scoring touchdowns, and they're going to have that whole nonsense going again with his girlfriend up in the luxury suite. That'll be the entire day of torture for me. Like, as you know, I just want to watch football. I don't want to watch pop stars, but that's what we get. And that's what you will get on CBS on Sunday is more of her than the game, which is absolutely painful to me. And I still say that she's an incredible superstar, moneymaker, best live show in the world, has it all going, super mega talented. I got nothing against her at all. I think she's phenomenal. But she's a pain in my ass on NFL Sundays. I don't care about pop stars and movie stars and celebrities when I'm watching playoff games that I'm betting money on. I want to watch football. I can barely stand the refs, let alone breakaway shots of her partying up in a luxury suite with famous movie stars and famous basketball players and famous people all together. It makes me sick to my stomach. It really does. Like, it's irritating to me. It's painful. It has become... I think it ruins the NFL experience. Like, I am not tuning in to watch the Eras tour. She made billions on her tour. Congratulations. You're the best in the business. I get it. Stay out of my football games. If you love him that much, then go and effing marry him. All right? How long will that marriage last? She'll probably have 5 husbands by the time she's done. But I'm telling you, it's a pain in the ass. I don't want to watch it. I want to watch football. I want to watch Allen. I want to watch the Bills, and I want to watch the Chiefs lose. I don't even want to watch Mahomes. I want to watch him have his neck broken. I want to watch him decapitated. I don't want to watch him score once. I want to watch the Bills score. Sick and tired of looking at that guy's girlfriend. Sick and tired of it. Done with it. You can have it.
Second full year under new ownership to really be where they are right now for this Commanders franchise is one of the best stories of this NFL season.
Went to the playoffs and won 2 road games. Now we're going to use that. Hey, rookie quarterback on? No more rookie quarterback. He's already arrived in the NFL as a legitimate quarterback. And can you say, Ben, is he already top 5?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
He did nothing for 5 weeks. So he is becoming his brother. So I don't want to hear about how great TJ Watt is with his 0 playoff wins. And he's the first guy to admit it. He comes right out and says, I've never won a playoff game. I don't matter. All right, at least we all know who the best player on the team is. It's George Pickens. If you don't believe that, well, then screw you too.
Ferrall, coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
We'll see if they get McCain back. Kelly Oubre, Yabusele's been good. Caleb Martin's a defensive specialist. Andre Drummond can still give you, almost a double-double at any point. I can't go south on this team. And now you're giving it to me at 2-1 to make the playoffs? To be in the Final 8? Folks, give me the Philadelphia 76ers to make the playoffs at plus 210.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
Second half kickoff, Carver High on a pain-free Friday as we continue on, and there's more NFL skinny for you.
There is more NFL skinny for you. Let's go next to some of these coaching things. As we discussed at the top of the show, the Raiders have got themselves their new head coach. Pete Carroll, after a year away, after leaving Seattle, didn't coach this past year. He's back in the mix. He will be the head coach in Las Vegas with the Raiders. So, Pete, what'd you say? You're going to be 74 by the time they kick off next fall? He's 73 right now. But as I heard, you know what they like to say about him, Scotty? He's a young 73. You know, he's still very sharp, moves around a lot. He bounces all over the place. He's a very young 73, Pete Carroll. Yeah. Nothing to worry about.
He should be golfing in Cabo. He should be retired. He should be, hanging out with his grandchildren. He should be, finished. I don't agree with it. And, good for him. I hope he wins, and I hope he does well, and I hope the Raiders are turned around by him. Congratulations. Have at it. But I am not in favor of, at all, hiring 74-year-olds to be the head coach of anything. At all. At any level. I mean, honest to Christ. At some point, can you imagine if you've been coaching and you've been busting your ass and you've been trying to make it as an NFL coach and you're an assistant, and you've been grinding and you've been working 20-hour days and you've been busting your ass, and then they hand the job to some guy that should be retired for 10 years. And they're giving jobs out now to 74-year-olds, and some guy's 35, 40-year-old trying to be a head coach his whole life. That's all he dreams about and cares about. And you have no chance because you're not, a big enough name. They got to pull out some guy from Tales of the Crypt to coach an NFL team. I mean, honest to Christ, the guy's 74 years old. He already lost it in Seattle. He already wasn't winning anymore in Seattle. That whole act of him running up and down the sideline, that doesn't work with me. It doesn't work with me. You can act like you're 50 all you want. You're not. You know what? I play basketball every day of my life with guys that are half my age. And I always let them know when I get burned defensively because I'm slow and old and fat. I'm slow and old and fat, and I'm 60 years old. And you're 30. So F you, and F anyone that thinks 74 and 75-year-olds should be the head coach of NFL teams. I just don't buy it. I don't like it. I am a discriminator here of old age. Like, Christ, I'm trying to make it to 65 and then call it a day. I'm just trying to survive here and make it 5 more years, whatever it is. And then I'll be long gone, bro. No one needs me around. No one cares about some old dude. Trust me, you worked with me, Carver High at CBS. So did Mafia. You saw it every day, those people abusing that old guy, saying he was finished and washed and should go away, go retire. What are you still doing it for? No one watches, no one listens. No one cares about you anymore, old man. Everybody wanted his job and his neck. That's what they do to old people. Stop acting like old people should be getting jobs that are long past their time. Honestly, I don't care what anyone thinks, in my opinion. You can have it, 74-year-old head coach. You got to be kidding me. What is next, a 90-year-old lady? I mean, honesty. Just what is going on? Where is this happening? Did they not just kick a guy out of office? They literally said, you can't run for president because you're too old. You can't even talk. You can't even speak. You can't even walk. And they gave it to that chick, and she got her ass beat by another old geezer. What is happening here? The old people are taking over the world because the young people are too stupid to do anything? And they're too lazy? I know that. How many of these kids go to college and then come home and live with their parents for 10 years and never get a job? It's embarrassing. That's why they're hiring 74-year-olds, because the young can't do anything. All they do is smoke bong rips and drink and do drugs and go party. That's all they do. I mean, honestly, don't even tell me I'm tripping either, Christ, I know 1,500 kids that don't have jobs that get out of college. College, just in case you didn't know, here's a little news flash for you, folks. You're spending $500,000 on your kid going to college. Here's what your kids do at college. They party and have sex. That's all they do. That's all they do. They stay up till 5 a.m, partying, doing drugs, and having sex, just so you know. There's a little news flash for you. And then some of them will say, I know these dads, oh, my kid's an athlete. He's D2. He's playing. Yeah, whatever. Whatever. Your kid ain't going pro. Let's calm down, okay? Let's calm down. And 74-year-old coach, 72-year-old in North Carolina, 74-year-old in the NFL. What is next? Honestly, I want to see someone break the mold and hire a 90-year-old grandmother to coach. What is next? What is next? A 100-year-old? I mean, honestly, Christ almighty. Is he going to drop dead on the field? Are they going to wheel him out in a wheelchair? Is he going to have a walker by the third year? You can take everything I said today to the bank. I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm not wrong. I will never change my opinion of it. When you're old and finished and it's over, it was already over in Seattle. And now they're going to give him a new job to start over? And he's 74. He'll be 76 when it's 77 when it's over. You got to be kidding me. What is happening? Honestly, I mean, this doesn't bother anyone. I heard Morenzi, I have no problem with it all. He's a great coach. Great coach, my ass. He's about as great a coach as that nice play he called without giving the ball to Marshawn Lynch in the second Super Bowl that he blew. Stop. He's lucky he won one because of that defense they had. That's why the Legion of Boom is why he won the first one. All of his running around on the sideline. Yeah, whatever. We'll see him running around on the sideline in Vegas with a walker.
On the other side of the spectrum, the Jags hired 39-year-old Liam Cohen.
Why would you do that when you can get an 80-year-old out there that's got to have some value?
Of Tampa. Now, of course, the story here is apparently the Bucs are very upset about the way that Cohen went about this. If you remember, we did the story 2 days ago that he pulled himself out of the Jacksonville running. Then they fired the guy Balky, and then Khan, I guess, brought him back in, but that was after Tampa had agreed to give him a fat new deal that made him the highest paid assistant coach in the NFL. So Tampa feels very jilted here by Liam Cohen. But if I was Liam Cohen, you know what I would say to him? You lose. Too bad. I'm the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mind would turn down an opportunity to be the head coach of an NFL team and a 5-year deal and make millions per year, or to be a assistant, an offensive coordinator in Tampa and make a couple $1 million. When you can make gigantic money and be the head coach, or you answer to people and you make, you're the highest paid assistant. That doesn't mean Shaq anymore. Who in their right mind, if they're afforded an opportunity to run the company or to be an employee, isn't going to choose to run the company? I mean, honestly, how about the guy that they just made the head of the Secret Service? Did you see this guy? He's the guy that got Trump off the stage alive after he got shot. The guy's he's been like a soldier in the Secret Service. That's been his job from day one, dodging bullets and everything else. And then they made him the head of the Secret Service because he saved the guy's life, he thinks. So Trump made him the head of the Secret Service. The guy went from being the pauper to the prince in 5 seconds. Who in their right mind would turn down that job? Cohen did exactly what he should have done. Take the job in Jacksonville, be the head coach.
Second full year under new ownership to really be where they are right now for this Commanders franchise is one of the best stories of this NFL season.
Went to the playoffs and won 2 road games. Now we're going to use that. Hey, rookie quarterback on? No more rookie quarterback. He's already arrived in the NFL as a legitimate quarterback. And can you say, Ben, Is he already top 5?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
He did nothing for 5 weeks. So he's becoming his brother. So I don't want to hear about how great TJ Watt is with his 0 playoff wins. And he's the first guy to admit it. He comes right out and says, I've never won a playoff game. I don't matter. All right, at least we all know who the best player on the team is. It's George Pickens. If you don't believe that, well, then screw you, too.
Ferrall, coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
We'll see if they get McCain back. Kelly Oubre, Yabusele's been good. Caleb Martin's a defensive specialist. Andre Drummond can still give you, almost a double-double at any point. I can't go south on this team. And now you're giving it to me at 2-1 to make the playoffs? To be in the Final 8? Folks, give me the Philadelphia 76ers to make the playoffs at plus 210.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
Bill Michaels, our good friend in Wisconsin. In fact, he owns the state of Wisconsin. He's the best at his gig on the radio, everywhere. Everyone knows it. I got a couple questions for you. First, we were just talking about the weather. Like, you and I were from the same ilk. I mean, you got freezing cold weather here. We got tons of snow. You get freezing cold weather, tons of snow. It doesn't matter if you don't have it right now. You know it's coming. But like the Packers play at Lambeau in sub-zero weather. When those games are there and you can't even, you spit and it freezes on the way to the ground, or you get the schnabberknockel, that's an advantage for the Packers. People that live in Wisconsin are tougher. People that live in Minnesota are tougher. People that live in Buffalo and Pittsburgh are tougher. People that live in New York are, narcissists and pigs. But they are tougher. I'll give you that. They're asshats, but they're tougher. Like, I live in New York City. I'm not afraid of cold weather. Like, I'm used to it. Like, I've been in this forever. Like, how much of a pea do you have to be to cry about cold weather? You and I go to the store in shorts. I'm wearing shorts right now.
Yeah. I was, it was 35 below the other day. I went to the gym and then I went to the grocery store afterwards wearing shorts. And, a lot of people up here are kind of like that, but, people look at you like you're a little bit crazy, but you got to embrace it, man. I go back to what you said about the Packers. I took video of it before the game when the Packers played the Dolphins here. Packers are coming out, some guys with, just shorts, no shirts on. And the Dolphins, they're all bundled up like they're going to the Antarctic and they're going to live in an igloo for a couple of months. And it was it was like they got off the plane and went, okay, we got to get the hell out of here. We've got 2.5 hours and we can start to fly back. So you could clearly tell they were already whooped before they even got the game going.
Now, the last time you were on, your problem was the finding an Airbnb in New Orleans that you could party in adequately for the Super Bowl. You were having issues, and the prices were just outrageous.
Crazy.
And the amount of availability was horrible. What has the story turned into as we're 2 weeks out?
We got one. We're in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. So we're right across the border, about 40 minutes away. And we got a house on the beach. And we got it for a quarter of what everybody else was, getting down there. And I don't mind driving. 45 minutes, me in the car, I get to listen to stuff. So who cares? So we got that. But we're still scrambling a little bit. There's been a big shift in the way the NFL does things in the media center. So we're kind of scrambling for some space right now. But we're ready to go. We're looking forward to it, man. It's always good to see you guys down there. So I can't wait. We leave a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I mean, so what's the problem at the media center? What they like where you're going to be located?
Somebody read somebody read 2 years ago that radio is dead, and talk radio, sports talk radio is not. But they have allowed in all these podcasters. There was a guy that they allowed in that they gave space to who has 2,100 followers for his podcast, and knocked out a bunch of longtime 20-year vets, radio network people, because you've got people, you know this, it's not the same. We used to see all the people that worked in the NFL that were there, and now they just kind of source it out to, local people that really don't know. They don't know the heritage stations. They don't know the heritage, because we are on 7 different platforms and we do a TV show. And They're telling us, we don't have enough of following. I'm like, I got almost 2 million that follow us on all the different platforms, and you got a guy that's got 3,700 and he gets space. It's like, come on, man.
So do you, when you're there at some level, because I've been to 30 in a row, don't you feel like you're surrounded by dorks?
Yes. How many times have you been standing there and you'll hear somebody ask a question and you just want to mutter loud enough for them to hear it? You're an effing idiot. That's all I want to say. I just, so I just kind of stare at them like, did you really just ask that? That's the dumbest ass thing I've ever seen anybody ask.
It's true. So let's talk about the Bucks. What is it, 5 in a row?
5 in a
row.
row.
They look good. Giannis, Dame Time, everybody else. They've changed so much as a franchise since they won it. A lot of people think they're getting back to being potentially dangerous again.
I think they are. I don't know. The one thing, the question here is whether or not they should make a trade. And right now, the guys in the locker room are like, no, we're finally starting to really come together. The beginning of the season, Brooke Lopez was cold. Gary Trent Jr. was cold. Andre Jackson was cold. Taurean Prince was cold. The only guys that were scoring was Damian Lillard and Giannis, and you didn't have Chris Middleton back then. Since Middleton's come back, now he can't play full minutes, and they've got him coming off of the bench, which is really not a bad thing because you've got a bona fide shooter coming off the bench. But guys started to heat up to what the back of their, basketball card or what their normal stats should say. So they've heated back up. Giannis, knock on wood, he's healthy right now. And he's kind of saying, guys, we need to keep this rolling. We need to get better, because you start to look at the starting 5 that they have in Boston. And really, I still think that's the best team in the East. The starting 5 that they have in Boston, now that Kristaps Porzingis is back, that's what you got to go up against. So they're just starting to gel, like you said, 5 in a row. But here's the test. They now have, I think it's 7 out of their next 8 or 8 of the next 9 on the road. So you got to win at least 5 out of these 7 to be able to say, okay, we've really, really come together. If you do that, then I think a lot of people are going to jump back on the Bucks bandwagon.
So Wisconsin has a big game on Sunday at the Cole up in Madtown against Nebraska. We talked to Jerry Palm today. Nebraska's fallen out of the tournament at this point. That loss to USC stung them. My Hoosiers suck. How are the Badgers holding up?
They're doing well. The big thing, they picked up Tanjay in the offseason. He's a shooter. They've been looking for a bona fide shooter from the outside for some time now. They've had a lot of guys that could shoot, but nobody that was a pure shooter. So now they've got bigs on the inside. They got the ability to rebound. They've got all 5 of their starters are averaging 10 points or better, which you don't get that very often. So, look, they finally got some shooters. They got some scorers, and they got some guys that can defend and play the board. So they've got a pretty good team. And we were excited about Wisconsin. We're excited about Marquette. Marquette's 2 in the top 10 as well, even though they lost to Xavier the other day. So got some good basketball here right now.
I couldn't believe they lost to Xavier at the Fiserv. Are the Brewers doing nothing in the offseason?
You know what? It's like a lot of teams, short of the Dodgers. I think they're just going to wait till about the week of when camp opens, and that's when they start making moves. All they want to do is drive down the price. That's all they're trying to do, because they just keep saying, hey, we're a small market. We can only afford so much. But they still look like to be a pretty good team in the Central. As a matter of fact, they're probably going to be 1 and 2 with either the Cubs or the Reds, because the Reds, I think, took a step forward as well. But it's a heavy pall up here right now after the loss of Bob Uecker, too.
Oh, that sucked, Bob Uecker passing. We'll see you in New Orleans, Bill.
You're the man.
Second full year under new ownership to really be where they are right now for this Commanders franchise is one of the best stories of this NFL season.
Went to the playoffs and won 2 road games. Now we're going to use that. Hey, rookie quarterback on. No more rookie quarterback. He's already arrived in the NFL as a legitimate quarterback. And can you say, Ben, is he already top 5?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
He did nothing for 5 weeks. So he is becoming his brother. So I don't want to hear about how great T.J. Watt is with his 0 playoff wins. And he's the first guy to admit it. He comes right out and says, I've never won a playoff game. I don't matter. All right, at least we all know who the best player on the team is. It's George Pickens. If you don't believe that, well, then screw you, too.
Ferrall, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
We'll see if they get McCain back. Kelly Oubre, Yabusele's been good. Caleb Martin's a defensive specialist. Andre Drummond can still give you, almost a double-double at any point. I can't go south on this team. And now you're giving it to me at 2-1 to make the playoffs? To be in the Final 8? Folks, give me the Philadelphia 76ers to make the playoffs at plus 210.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
Well, he was right. Rich Sermonello had the Buckeyes, and they got it done. Let's hook up with our boy again to talk some more college football.
Scotty, we have crowned a national champion in college football at long last. Just an exciting postseason in college football. It's going to be 7 months before we could talk about games, but I can assure you tons to talk about in the offseason, from NIL, transfer portal, spring football, NFL draft. We got a ton to talk about. Quick recap of the postseason, though. I know there were a lot of detractors, Scott. I love the playoffs. Opening round, we got a chance to see on-campus playoff games, first time ever in the FBS. Quarterfinals, epic game down in Atlanta between Arizona State and Texas. Instant classic, won in overtime by the Longhorns. 2 great semifinal games, and then the national championship Monday night. Overall, I thought it was an outstanding postseason. I think the 12-team playoff is a revelation for the sport. Can it get better? Absolutely. I think first step will be, let's change how we seed. Top 4 seeds, automatic buys. Let's give it to the top 4 teams as opposed to just the top 4 conference champs. I know that's in discussion already. I'd like to see that next year. Now, some of the performances that really impressed me in this bowl season, I look at the bowls very differently. I want to see, who's getting a jump start on 2025, who made the most of their opportunities. I think that's one of the really interesting themes of the bowls. I got 3 kids for you. First off, Desmond James, wide receiver from Arkansas, 12 snaps all season, gets an opportunity in the bowl game, 3 catches, 137 yards, and a touchdown, most outstanding player for the Razorbacks in that game. And what's happening is these kids, the younger ones in particular, are using these bowl games as auditions. So Cal swoops in, makes him an offer. Now Desmond James is going to have more reps next year in Berkeley. Number 2, Dylan Edwards, Kansas State. DJ Giddens, he's the workhorse for Kansas State, over 1,000 yards this year, opts out of the bowl game. Dylan Edwards gets a shot. What does he do? Bowl record for Kansas State, 196 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns, leads K-State to a comeback win over Rutgers. But for me, the biggest story in terms of individual players, remember the name Damon Williams, Washington quarterback, true freshman, just his 2nd all-time start. Yeah, the Huskies lost the Sun Bowl to Louisville, 35-34, but Williams threw for almost 400 yards, had 4 touchdowns, was phenomenal. 5-star quarterback, a kid from Arizona. Jed Fish knows quarterbacks. What I see, Scott, is a young Kyler Murray, undersized, extremely athletic, Watch the Washington Huskies next year with DeMond Williams under center. I think that's going to be a very exciting offense. So great bowl season, but a lot to talk about moving forward in the offseason.
There certainly is great stuff there from Rich. It is always sad to see the college football season come to a close. But we're only right around the corner, believe me. End of August will be here fairly quickly. There is a great slate of games for week number 1, including that Notre Dame-Miami game, which they did say yesterday is going to be the Sunday night of Labor Day weekend. And then the Monday night of Labor Day weekend primetime game is going to be North Carolina with Bill Belichick's first game as the head coach. And they will take on TCU in Chapel Hill. So you do get yourself a couple of fantastic college football games that are going to start the year, that is for sure. A couple of other things, but then we'll start the NBA in the next hour. Robert Saleh will go back to the Niners. He's going to be the defensive coordinator there. Sean McVay says the Rams need to address Matthew Stafford's situation ASAP. Stafford, of course, has to decide if he wants to keep playing. They should let McVay know rather quickly. Mark Andrews breaks his silence. He goes on social media to say he's gutted by his crucial drop. Thank you, Mark. He's gutted what happened to him last week in that. And we have the dates. Pittsburgh, of course, is going to host the 2026 NFL Draft.
Can you imagine?
April 23rd through the 25th, 2026. Next year, Pittsburgh is where they will be. Do you get, as a season ticket holder, do you get, access to that, if you want to go to the draft and go hang out there?
I'm guessing that I will, and it just sounds, for the first time ever, so I've been to the NFL Draft a ton of times in New York City, but never in Pittsburgh. And when they started moving it around to cities, I thought, oh, what a waste of time. Now that it's going to Pittsburgh, suddenly I'm interested in it. I think it's going to be huge for the city, particularly financially. I think they're going to make a ton of money off of it, and I think it'll be a huge party in the Steel City. I'm going to definitely go.
One of the weirdest nicknames I've heard in fighting. There's people have some strange nicknames at times, but the Lemon Killer. What do you even make of that? What is that about?
I don't even know what that means, but I'm gonna squeeze him like a lemon on the day we fight, and he's gonna pop.
Only on SportsGrid.
What if he gets Kellen Moore? See that guy, right? He was supposed to be the coach in waiting when he was the offensive coordinator. Is that enough? Does Jerry pull the trigger for that? Or does he pull the trigger for Dion?
Mike McCarthy would have not let this play out this way unless he had a job. So I think McCarthy already has the New Orleans job.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.